Good afternoon. Our sign language interpreter is Lensa Owino, and I am Akisa Wandera. Now, National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi has called members of Parliament for a special meeting tomorrow on Thursday, the 22nd day of December, to consider amendments to election laws after Tuesday's sitting ended in disarray. Opposition called members of Parliament successfully blocked a debate on the proposed amendments to the laws in a session characterized by drama and name-calling. Speaker Justin Muturi was forced to adjourn the House last night, saying the House was so unruly that not conducive for debate.
We are the people. Hey. We are the people. You are defeated. Our people united.
We need to follow procedures, standing orders of the National Assembly without any shortcuts. For the first time, I think the Speaker has made the correct ruling, but very late. He should have known that the procedure should have been followed from the word go. So the whole day, we have been struggling with the Speaker to listen to us.
All right, that was the situation last night in Parliament as that special sitting ended in disarray. But meanwhile, the ruling coalition members of Parliament are set to meet President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto in parliamentary group meeting set to be held at State House here in Nairobi. The highly anticipated meeting will is expected to come up with a strategy on how to pass the amendments that CORD successfully prevented yesterday. And to give us more insight on this particular story, our senior political reporter Duncan Haemba now joins us from our city centre studios with more details on the same. Thank you very much for joining us. I believe the parliamentary group meeting is underway or is set to start any minute now. What should we expect?
Akisa, the details of that parliamentary group meeting remain scanty, and this has been compounded by the fact that the PGs being held at State House, of course, are not easy to gain access, of course, for obvious reasons. And then some of the usual suspects that usually come handy in such situation are not responding to calls or texts, and therefore this tells you on just how serious and how high the stakes are. But basically, we expect them perhaps to be, I think, to be given a dress down by their principals on why they were able to be beaten by their counterparts in court, because remember, as soon as Member of Parliament Junet, or rather the opposition were silent, they just timed after the lapse of 6:30 p.m. hour, then they told the Speaker that, hey, no member stood on their feet to ask you to seek an extension of the House. So therefore, they will be asked at what point did they drop their guard. Of course, the leader of majority, Eden Duale, will be hard placed as to why he did not get members to move the Speaker or allow the Speaker that the House be extended, because it is now costing Parliament another day tomorrow, because the Speaker has actually convened another special sitting. So we expect a dress down, because the principals will ask them why did they allow that one to, or how did that one escape their mind. And then of course perhaps they'll be told another strategy that they have to employ tomorrow. Remember that yesterday the CORD team first of all ensured that the session begins past midday as compared to when it was supposed to start at 9:30. So the members of course blocked the Speaker from accessing the floor of the House, forced a Kamukunji. A Kamukunji is an informal meeting, and therefore they'll be asked all these questions as at what point did they drop their guard, so that to give the opposition have their way. But as of now, details are still scanty, but perhaps after the meeting we'll be able to know exactly what is in plan come tomorrow, Akisa.
Duncan, from the scenes we witnessed yesterday in Parliament, the whole confusion and chaos, it was very much unlikely that there could be another special sitting tomorrow. Did it catch any sides by surprise? And what should we expect come tomorrow?
Yes, I think the special sitting has caught the opposition members by surprise. You've seen from the clips when they left the chambers, they were jubilant, saying they've carried the day, saying Kenyans have carried the day, and as such, they were very categorical that they are happy that the next session to be convened, or when the next time Parliament reconvenes, is on 24th of January, when the fifth and the final session of this particular Parliament begins. And therefore, by the fact that they've woken up to a Gazette notice that has already been published, that one tells you that it has caught them by surprise. Many of them last night, Akisa, when we were trying to get hold of them to have them explain to us what exactly happened when the Parliament was actually suddenly went into darkness. By in darkness, I mean when the live broadcast was actually cut off, and therefore we didn't know what was happening, save for the whistles that we could hear and the shouting. Then we saw the speaker storm out of the chambers, and then the CORD members came out. So when we were trying to call them to find out what exactly is happening, many of them were saying they're already out of town, headed to their various constituencies, particularly many from the Luo Nyanza. There's an ongoing cultural event in Homa Bay County, and many of them left last night. So the session by tomorrow's session has actually caught many by surprise, but we understand there is a PG which my colleague Jeff Kirui is following up, so maybe we'll know whether some of them have been able to come back, or they've made U-turns, or maybe those that had not left the capital, perhaps they're the ones that will be attending the same PG to hold brief for those ones that had already left. Akisa.
All right, thank you very much, Duncan. And as he says, our other colleague, Jeff Kiru, will be bringing us more details about what to expect from the parliamentary group that has been called by the opposition CORD. Jeff Kiru will be joining us later on here in the bulletin. But meanwhile, President Uhuru Kenyatta has termed as immature sentiments that CORD fronted yesterday when they said the president and his deputy were interfering with the privilege of the House. Uhuru said it was regrettable that the opposition members of parliament used the House privilege to insult the presidency.
Is the National Assembly representing our democracy, and the ability of some idiots in there to continue insulting me, but that's their freedom.
Now, Jubilee activists and aspirants under the Warembo na Uhuru umbrella this morning held demonstrations in the city over what they say is disrespect for President Uhuru Kenyatta. The women who had earlier threatened to strip and force Mbita Member of Parliament Emilio Odhiambo and other ODM MPs to apologize marched through the streets of Nairobi, asking ODM MPs to respect the institution of the presidency. Uhuru came under criticism from opposition MPs as they blocked a debate on the contentious changes to electoral laws.
Hawezi ongea kitu kama hiyo kwa media na watoto wetu wanaona. Alafu tunaenda kuambia watoto wetu kutusi ni vibaya. Hiyo na kashifu kama mama na pia kama wamama wote wa Nairobi. Na hata si president peke yake, president wetu is also defile sovereignty ya Kenya yetu. We are talking about the sovereignty of this country. It is about the presidency, not even about the president. Hiyo kiti inafaa iheshimiwe.
All right, we spoke to our senior political reporter Duncan Haemba on some of the things we expect to come out of the Jubilee Parliamentary Group meeting, but at the same time, the opposition CORD is holding its parliamentary group meeting, and our reporter Jeff Kirui now joins us with details on some of the things that we should expect. A very good afternoon to you, Jeff. Thank you for joining us. Do you have any leads to perhaps why that particular meeting was called for?
Well, a very good afternoon, Akisa. Indeed, the CORD parliamentary group meeting is expected to kick off at 2:30. And as per the people whom I've managed to talk to within the CORD coalition, is that some of them actually feel that they got flat-footed after yesterday's, after the directive, the Gazette notice by Speaker Justin Muturi to reconvene tomorrow for a special sitting. Remember, some of them yesterday actually came out of the session, actually cheering that the parliamentary session had been adjourned to January 24th. And now they're convening to chart a way forward, now strategizing on how to tackle tomorrow's special sitting. Remember, one of those who have managed to talk to actually tells me that they are strategizing on how to block the amendment on the election laws. And what we expect is that by 4 p.m., as per the person who have managed to talk to, is that they will be able to address the press on those issues. Akisa, they are actually against the amendment of the election laws, especially having an alternative to the technology in case the technology fails. And also they are against raising the number of voters per polling station from 500 to 700. Akisa.
Now, Jeff, yesterday night, when the whole meeting or the whole procedure in Parliament was disrupted, we saw CORD members of Parliament rejoicing that they'd managed to stop that particular discussion from taking place on the floor of the House until the 24th of January. But with this particular Gazette notice that there's a special sitting tomorrow, have they been caught flat-footed? And what kind of strategies do we expect them to employ tomorrow?
Well, Akisa, as at now, they can't actually really reveal what strategies they'll be employing tomorrow because they're expected to meet at 2:30 and then from there now strategize on the way forward. Remember, the Jubilee Coalition as well is having a similar parliamentary group meeting at State House. So they're waiting if they will get any information from the other side, putting into consideration that the Jubilee PG was expected to kick off at 1 p.m. and theirs is kicking off 2 hours 1 hour 30 minutes later. So we are expecting from there they will be able to tell us what exactly. But one of the strategies for sure, Akisa, is that they are planning on how to block the amendment on the election laws. Akisa.
Jeff, thank you very much for that. That's our political reporter, Jeff Kirui. And it looks like both sides of the political divide are holding their cards closer to their chest. But definitely we'll be bringing you more details about this particular parliamentary group meetings and what it means for tomorrow's special sitting. Now, the Labour Court is set to sentence doctors' union officials to a term in jail or pay up fines after they were found guilty of contempt of court for failure to call off the ongoing strike. Union officials are set to address the media shortly at Afya House here in Nairobi. And our reporter on the ground, Mark Namaswa, now joins us live with details. A very good afternoon to you, Mark. What exactly are the doctors saying?
Now, we've spoken to a few officials of the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Doctors and Dentists Union, and they tell us they have been here since 9 a.m. conducting deliberations with the Ministry of Health officials. And they told us that key on their agenda is the issue of the CBA, and they're also going to discuss about the impending court sentencing tomorrow, where they are supposed to appear before Justice Helen Wasilwa, and they'll be sentenced for contempt of court, basically because the court had already declared the strike illegal after a petition was filed by the Council of Governors that was seeking to outlaw the strike. Akisa.
Now, Mark, given that they are also facing contempt of court charges, have they said anything with regards to the same?
Yes, they have. They have said that tomorrow they will honor the court summons and appear in court and listen to what the courts will have to declare, the sentencing that will take place. But this raises a few questions concerning some of the allegations they had made earlier during the start of the strike. They had cited interference or tactics by the government to try and intimidate them into signing certain agreements that they were not in agreement with. And it raises questions concerning today if they decide to, or they come to an agreement with the Ministry of Health concerning the strike, and if they discuss about the tomorrow's impending sentencing of union officials, what message will that send to the courts of law? And the big question is, if they come to an agreement with the Ministry of Health officials concerning the strike, will the courts be lenient on them? Will the courts sentence them harshly, or will it be lenient on them? That is one of the big questions that we'll be looking as the strike continues to take very different dimensions and forms in this third week of the doctors' strike in Kenya. Akisa.
All right, Mark, thank you very much for that update. That's our reporter, Mark Namaswa, joining us from the Afya House, where doctors' union officials are currently meeting members from the Ministry of Health to chart a way forward. But at this point, we'll take a short commercial break here on the KTN News Desk. Don't go too far. We still have a lot lined up for you.